fiscal year 25-26. Let the record show all board members are present. Dr. Murillo.
Thank you, Mr. Tripp. At this time, I'd like to invite Ms. Lehan to the podium, who will do a presentation this evening. This is our second public hearing. So, Ms. Lehan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Murillo, and good evening, Board of Directors.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As you can see, since fiscal year 2020, the district has made significant decreases in our property tax levy rate. We have dropped from 17.16 per thousand taxable valuation to 1607 for fiscal year 26. This is down from our first public hearing, which we had proposed 16.15. Our proposed levy rate is 0.08 less than we had presented, as we found means to reduce expenditures. This was a savings of approximately $236,000. The next graph shows the decrease in weighted enrollment we have experienced since the COVID-19 pandemic. From 24 to 25, our enrollment decreased by 174 students and by 249 students since 2023. Now we'll discuss some of our funding sources. Our general fund, the supplemental state aid, was set at 2% for fiscal year 26. If you compare that to the last two fiscal years, it's down from 2.5% in fiscal year 25 and 3% in fiscal year 24. The district's cash reserve levy was increased a little bit to offset the costs of special ed costs not funded by the state. If you look at our general fund expenditures, that goes towards staff salaries and benefits, and they have increased. Transportation costs, which continue to increase. Utilities increases are budgeted for. And then other expenditures rising due to inflation, whether it be nutrition or any type of supplies or things that we need. If you look at our management fund, we're expecting a 15% increase in property casualty premiums. We're expecting an 11% increase in work comp premiums. In our insurance maintenance program, we expect to see insurance increases, but we have not yet got those final figures. So on the management fund, we budgeted $3 million. However, the property casualty portion of that is estimated to be 2.6 of that for the next fiscal year. And that would include the workers' compensation. The nutrition fund expenditure increases. We're expecting the district continues to pay more for food and supplies, just like we do in the grocery stores. And we have an increase in wages and benefits. And then health insurance increases of 13% are expected. So that would be in the nutrition fund and the general fund that we would see that. As far as the PEPL fund expenditures, facility repairs and improvements, student and teacher technology devices, that's what mainly runs through there. The SAVE fund, I wanted to bring this up because capital projects, building improvements, equipment, vehicles, it's similar to using the PEPL fund. However, some of our bonds are paid out of this fund. It covers half of the sales tax bond payments. 3 more years to be debt-free on the sales tax debt. So once we get through year 3, we'll be able to use some of these resources to help pay on the PEPL. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. So you mentioned that compared from our first hearing of this to the second, there was a bit of a drop in 0.08%, if I understand correctly. I was wondering if there's any way to go into detail as far as what led to the change, because I know we propose an amount and then it gets updated, and just being able to hear that difference would be great.
Well, our first hearing, there's not a lot out there that's set by the state, so you're kind of flying blind. However, we have looked at our expenses. At that point, you have to do your maximum budget because you cannot go higher than that. So you're doing your maximum budget of what it could be. And after looking at everything and working with Dr. Murillo and Dr. Murillo working with her departments, we found ways to decrease some of the expenditures. And that is kind of what we've been doing as we continue to work on that.
Awesome. I'm really glad to see that savings. I know we had a lot of comment from the public on that and see if we can do what we can do, and we found what we could find. So way to go, your team, and Dr. Miller, your team, finding those cuts. Anything else from the board? Now I will open it up to the audience who would like to make a comment. We do have 2 people that have signed up early, so they will get to go first. First up, I have David Snyder. If you would come up, please state your name and address, and you will get 5 minutes.
David Snyder, 18198 Sunnydale Road, Council Bluffs, 51503. I came before the board 2 weeks ago in opposition to the tax increase, and since then I've done a lot of homework out of a lot of different information I was able to gather. And I gotta say that I'm not gonna direct this at any one person, but I'm just gonna say that I think that the performance of the Council Bluffs School District is poor. And to me, it appears our total expenditures are $147 million. And if I've got, right here, you've got 2 schools, Hoover Elementary that I think is really well, and Rue is barely above the state average. I'd like to know what what Hoover is doing right. And then I've got it broken down by school, and I've got the ratio per student, and I find it really hard to believe that our average is only 18 students per teacher. But if you look at Hoover again, Hoover has the highest students per teacher in the district, and they in fact have the highest state average grade, which I find that pretty amazing. I just wonder if anybody's explored what Hoover's doing right and what the rest of them aren't. We've got several here that are right at poor, I would say. We've got some that are averaging 44 out of 69.95, so everybody knows what the state average is 60.95. We've got schools in Council Bluffs that are doing 44. And I just wonder if these administrators are compensated on performance, or do they get performance reviews? Because I think some of these scores are terrible. But I also think that it looks to me like that what we do, I look here and I've got it broken down by student. We're spending total expenditures $18,433 per student in Council Bluffs. There's several of these expenditures that I just have a hard time understanding how can that be. And I just think that our tax money, I'm just saying, I'm maybe speaking for the whole room here, but I just think that our tax money, all of us, is just thrown at a problem, and we've got deplorable scores here with our students. I just wonder what we're doing here to make these teachers accountable and these administrators. I've got many, many numbers here, but I think the thing I would like to say is I am sick and tired of my taxes being increased year after year after year. I'm not a real estate speculator, as I said the first time I was here before you. But I got to tell you that my taxes go up, and I see these deplorable test scores, and I'm wondering, are we as citizens of the Potawatomi County or the Council of Schools, are we getting what we're paying for? And I got to tell you, looking at these test scores, I don't think so. Now, I'm not directing that at any one person, but I am saying of all the schools in Council Bluffs, I think it's pretty sad that we've only got one that far exceeds, and the other one's barely above, and everybody else is below. What do we do about bringing those scores up? What do you do? What do we do to change whatever we can? That's basically all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Dave Kohlers. You come up, state your name and your address, and you will also have 5 minutes.
Dave Collars, 17954 Honeysuckle Road, Council Bluffs, 51503. And I've just got a couple items that I would like to run past you and see if there's some way that I can get some additional information about what is happening with the school board, with the district. And one of the things I was wondering is if I can get some information on like the chart of accounts where I could get information on a total of each of those accounts on income and expense. If there's a way I can get a hold of that information. And I'd like to have it, if possible, for 2 years, just for comparison's sake. That's one item, because with that information, we can really look at it and get a better idea of, you know, what's going up, what's going down, what's causing this, you know, large increase that we're looking at. A second item would be the number of, I didn't find any information on school buses, and I'm assuming that the school buses are leased, that they're not something that the district owns. With that, I was wondering too, are those buses, I believe they're shared by some private schools? Is that the case, do you know? Yeah? Okay. Do they share on the expense of those school buses? Okay. That was the second item I had. I was wondering about that because if we're sharing the buses and picking up other students, then it would be nice to, you know, they should share the expense of those buses also. The third item that I had was looking at the average of teachers per student overall on the 14 different schools in the district. I noticed that there was about an average of 14 students per teacher. And I don't know, that seems a bit low. I think it should be, I think it could be higher. So that's something that, you know, the school board, I think, should take a look at if you haven't. And if you have, you know, these numbers seem pretty low for what, you know, especially when you look at what Dave had said about some of the information he'd gotten as far as, you know, how low the performance rating is for those schools. So that would be the third item that I'd like to know something about, if that's possible. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Any other members of the public that wish to speak tonight regarding the property tax levy? Seeing as there is none, I now close this public hearing. And now I open the regular business meeting for the Council of Community Schools. Ms. Ostrowski, please call our roll.
Yes. Mrs. Greiner.
Present.
Ms. Myers.
Present.
Ms. Hardeman.
Present.
Mr. Tripp.
Here.
Mr. Peters.
Here?
Dr. Ozello. Present. Mr. Kozire.
Present.
If you all would please stand, join me for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first up on our items is approval of our amended agenda. Is there,
Not yet.
mine says amended.
Oh, it was.
Is there a motion?
I move for the approval of our amended agenda as presented.
Yes. That's right. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion regarding the amended agenda?
I'd like to offer another amendment to move the staff and student recognition portion of the board meeting just after the approval of the minutes.
Second on that?
I will second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second regarding an amendment to the amended agenda, which is to move the student staff recognition up right after the approval of the minutes. Is there any discussion regarding that from our board?
I offer the amendment just to be mindful of the staff and student members who are here to be recognized for their work, and not knowing how long our public participation portion may last. I thought that it would be mindful of moving that. So that was my reasoning.
Thank you, Mr. Kozar. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Okay?
And the motion carries. The amended agenda is approved. Next, we have approval of the minutes from the special meeting and workshop meetings of April 8th, 2025. Is there a motion?
I move that the minutes from the special meeting and workshop meeting of April 8th, 2025 be approved as presented.
Thank you.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion regarding these minutes? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. The motion carries. The minutes have been approved. This will bring us to student and staff recognition. Dr. Murillo.
Thank you, Mr. Tripp. At this time, I'd like to invite Ms. Comine to the podium. It looks like we do have several stars in the audience tonight, so I look forward to our recognition. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Murillo, and good evening, Board of Directors.
Good evening.
It is always a pleasure to be here, and there are 4 different areas that we are going to be recognizing our students for Star Students today. I would like to invite Dr. Murillo and President Tripp to the front to help pass out our Star Awards. Tonight, we're going to start with basketball. We are honoring an Abraham Lincoln High School senior. The student's name is Creighton Brocker, as a star student for earning a third team 4A All-State honor this winter in basketball. Creighton had a great senior season where he led AL in both scoring and rebounding, while also being voted a team captain by his teammates. He also broke the all-time record for rebounds in a career at Abraham Lincoln and won several other awards, including First Team All-Conference and City Player of the Year. Creighton will be greatly missed at Abraham Lincoln High School, and we wish him nothing but the best as he moves on to play college basketball at Morningside University next year. So Creighton, will you please come to the front? And Creighton is coached by Coach Isaacson, and I do not believe he was able to make it. And Mr. Novotny, the athletic director, is at a soccer tonight. Next, we have 2 sets of speech students. On February 22nd, Abraham Lincoln High School speech attended the large group All-State Festival on the ISU campus in Ames. In order to qualify for this honor, the students had to earn a Division I rating at the district level. 2 weeks later, they performed for 3 judges at the state level. At least 2 of those 3 judges had to select the group as being among the most outstanding students they observed through the entire day of judging. The students being recognized tonight for our first group were one of only 15 TV newscasts selected from across the entire state. Abraham Lincoln had a group of 9th grade TV news students qualify with their pre-recorded newscast entitled K-Odd News, and those students were Maxine Colgrove. So if Maxine can come to the front. We also have Kennick Driscoll. Our next two students are not able to be here tonight, but I do want to recognize them. Elliot Powers is at a tennis match, and Catherine Sanchez has a soccer match, and we will make sure that they get their stars tonight. We'll go on to the next set of speech recognitions. We'll go ahead and just stay here. On March 31st, Abraham Lincoln High School attended the All-State Individual Festival at the University of Northern Iowa, and 4 students from AL were selected through the same process as described earlier. 542 performances were selected for the festival from over 8,000 entries that started at the district level. And these students are CJ Hansen in the area of acting, and again, Elliot Powers in radio news announcing, who's at a tennis match. And then we have Joanna Kern. Joanna's accomplishment is in radio news announcing and original oratory. It is also noteworthy that Joanna double qualified in individuals with her 2 events. Only 62 students from across the state achieved this honor, so congratulations, Joanna. And also noteworthy, Elliot Powers, who's unable to be here, is only a freshman, and she qualified in both the large group and the individuals. And they are coached by Dirk Waller, who is here tonight. So Dirk, come on up. And Jane Hannigan.
Are we okay?
If we squeeze in just a little bit, we're right on the border here. Thank you so much.
Next, we will recognize our HOSA students. We are incredibly proud to announce that 2 students have qualified for the International Health Occupation Students of America Conference, also known as HOSA, which will be held in Tennessee this year in Nashville. With over 250 students competing in this year's HOSA events, earning a spot at the international level is no small feat. These students' dedication, hard work, and passion for health sciences has truly paid off, and we could not be more proud of their achievements. Both of these 2 students took first place in their competition of forensic science. The first student is Chloe Quick Milligan. Chloe is a junior at Thomas Jefferson and is focused on pursuing a career as an anesthesiologist after high school. She is very determined and passionate about doing well in school. Our second student is Mariana Collins. Mariana is a senior at Abraham Lincoln and plans to attend Iowa Western Community College to pursue a career in nursing. The effort she puts in and puts forth and her positive attitude brings everyone contagious enthusiasm. Also tonight, we have Olivia McCallan. Olivia will attend the HOSA conference by placing 4th in her event of home health aid. Olivia is excited to represent Council Bluffs schools and show her pride and desire to be in healthcare. Olivia currently volunteers at the hospital and works as a residential aide at Bethany Lutheran Home. And their coach, Patty Pettit, is with us tonight as well. Next, we are going to recognize our National History Day students. I'd first like to provide a little bit of context and background. National History Day is a student-based research project. It's where each student picks a subject they are interested in that matches the theme of rights and responsibilities in history. Starting in August, students begin researching their topic, and then during one of their days off in October, the students use their day off from school and travel to the library at Iowa State University to find multiple primary and secondary resources. Then in January and February, students spend 4 hours each Saturday working at the library to put their products together. This all leads up to the contest in March, where students present their projects and are interviewed by judges. All of the students did a fantastic job while being judged and were able to articulate their project to be chosen in the top 3 for our region. Next Monday, they will be defending their project at the state contest in Ames and will compete to qualify for the national contest to be held June 8th through 12th this summer at the University of Maryland College Park. The State History Day results are: from Abraham Lincoln High School, we have Adrian Stotts. Adrian received first place in website. We also have Kaya Schleifman. Kaya received first place in documentary. We have Dutch Smith. Dutch received second place in paper. We have Newell Mabura. Newell received third place in paper. We have Delaney Flynn. Delaney received first place in exhibit. We have Abigail Nelson. Abigail received second place in exhibit. And Aiden McIntosh. And Aiden received third place in the exhibit. And this is really exciting. We have one student from Kern Middle School, and that student is Angela Nelson. And Angela received first place in the documentary. So congratulations, and this team is coached by Shauna Sahaychik.
We'll either have to layer it or squeeze it. Okay.
Next, we have our staff members of the month. We would like to thank the Council Bluffs Community Schools Foundation for their generous support of these awards. First up, for our certified staff member, Jen Hudson, kindergarten teacher at Roosevelt Elementary School. Jen, will you come up? Jen is an exceptional kindergarten teacher whose kindness and dedication make a lasting impact on both students and colleagues. She creates a warm, nurturing classroom where young learners feel safe and supported and excited to grow. Beyond her incredible work with students, Jen is a driving force as a teacher leader, always willing to support her team any way she can. A colleague reported that the following about Jen. Jen is a gem of a person. Her willingness to help support her team and all the kindergartners here at Roosevelt is greatly appreciated. And a long-term sub shared the following. Jen has really taken me under her wing with joining the kindergarten team for the remainder of the year. She is always smiling and always has a solution for pretty much everything. She's a great leader and has been so great not only explaining processes, but also leading and providing me with the right resources and materials. She has always made me feel welcome, not only at Roosevelt, but on the kindergarten team. Congratulations, Jen. Next, our support staff member of the month, Diane Niedermeyer, General Education Paraeducator at Lewis and Clark Elementary School. Come on up, Diane. Diane consistently goes above and beyond to foster a supportive, engaging learning environment at Lewis and Clark, making a lasting impact on both student achievement and school culture. Diane builds meaningful relationships with students, offering encouragement and individualized support that enhances their confidence and success in the classroom. Whether assisting students in a whole group setting, reinforcing classroom expectations, or providing one-on-one support, she plays a crucial role in helping students reach their full potential. Beyond the classroom, Diane is a true team player, always willing to support her colleagues with a positive attitude. She collaborates seamlessly with teachers, adapts to the needs of students, and brings a problem-solving mindset to every challenge. Her presence contributes to a safe and caring environment where both students and staff thrive. Her enthusiasm for school spirit is contagious. Whether helping out with PTO events or simply bringing warmth and joy to our hallways, she makes our school a better place. Congratulations, Diane.
Dr. Murillo, if I may thank our school's foundation for their support of our student and staff recognition program. It really makes this possible, and as you can see, it's really exciting.
Thank you, Ms. Ostrowski. And congratulations again to all of our students and our staff. Keep doing great things out there.
Public part, oh. Sure.
Just a point of privilege, we'll wait just a minute for Dr. Murillo to return. All right, and now we will open up public participation for this evening. I do have several members of the public who have requested time tonight, so we will go in order of receipt. Those who have requested time do have 5 minutes each. Anybody else that wishes to speak afterwards will have 3 minutes. First, we will start with Ms. Sherry Anderson, if you would please. State your name, your address, and you have 5 minutes.
Hello. My name is Sherry Anderson. I teach 6th grade social studies at Kern Middle School. My address is 23005 Hackberry Road, Council Bluffs. I am a past president of the CBEA and a former negotiations team member. And I would like to address today transparency between the district and the CBEA. We did receive a letter today from the district where Dr. Murillo stated she wants to provide clear and transparent information regarding negotiations. In that letter, she says that negotiated and ratified agreement that we, CBEA, ratified did not allow all certified employees to receive a raise. And that is not accurate. The district, in fact, did not disclose information that was pertinent to good faith negotiations. Several times throughout negotiations, the Council Bluffs Education Association asked for TSS amounts. TSS stands for Teacher Supplemental Salary. So every year before this year, we have bargained for the base salary increase. And we were proposed from the district, a 3% increase, which we gladly accepted because that is tough in this economy and because of our governor's decisions, regarding education. But there was a change in the allocation of the teacher supplemental salary funds that we were not aware of, and we were not made aware of it. And we were not made aware of it according to Julie Fisher saying she was not allowed to disclose any information about the teacher supplemental salary allocation because she wasn't authorized by the board, by you. Is that true that you directed her to not disclose or explain how the TSS would be allocated? That is not transparent. Every other year before now, we knew that we would get the base salary increase and then TSS would be allocated. What has happened this year is you're using the TSS to make up the 3%, the base salary wages. Also, we're not allowed to bargain TSS. Only we did. We bargained TSS because you included it. You included it in our 3% increase to the base salary. So none of this is transparent or clear. And all of the information, normal people that aren't mathematicians cannot figure out how the 3% works, how that even added up on their paycheck when they compare last year to this year. I don't know where that information is, but it sure is not clear. There has not been a time ever that TSS has been allocated this way. We asked that information on April 1st, April 7th, April 8th. It wasn't disclosed in the April 16th it wasn't disclosed in April 16th, and that is what caused our negotiation team to ask for a meeting, and that's when they found out what was going to happen with the TSS. So, this is just silly when you say you want to be clear and transparent, when that's not clear and transparent. And it was asked and not provided. And I don't know if it's true that you actually directed her not to give the information that was necessary, because if we were only going to get an actual 7% increase based on what you were going to do with the TSS, we would have negotiated differently. It wouldn't have happened this way. And yes, I'm angry. Yes, you say you want to be transparent, and Dr. Murillo's letter says that it's on behalf of you, the school board. Why aren't you? I also would like to wonder if we are not negotiating in good faith, because we, CBEA, are. We are putting all our cards on the table and talking to you. But when we ask for negotiation information from the district people, we don't get it. We didn't get misinformation. We just didn't get the information we needed. And that's not fair. It's not transparent. It's not right. And it's not in good faith. So I wonder, what are the next steps to modify negotiating in good faith? And I will not be signing my contract initially until we settle this issue. Thank you for listening. I hope you listened.
Thank you, Sherry. Next, we have Bob Hanson. If you would, please approach the podium, name, address. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Bob Hanson. I teach math at Abraham Lincoln High School. This is my 29th year of teaching. I've been a member of the CBA since I've started. I've been a member of negotiations since 2005. I've chaired the negotiations several times during some very difficult times when the state turned over Chapter 20. I've also been the negotiations chair during some challenging financial times. We have worked very hard the last 8-10 years to build trust between the district and the teachers. This last 2 weeks has really deteriorated that trust. Like I said, this is my 29th year, and I've never been so disappointed and actually disrespected. When we negotiated from 2005, I've been in every negotiations until this year, time for me to move on. We negotiate the salaries. That's the amount of district money that is going to teachers. After that, since the day one of TSS, after that's been decided, the TSS is added on top, except for this year. So we have agreed to a 3% raise, but in reality, the district is only increasing our salaries 1.25%. The other percentage is coming from a reallocation. I almost said misallocation, but it's a reallocation of TSS funds. $740,000 is coming out of teachers' pockets to go back and fund the raise that the district should be paying for. The district is providing $528,000 in new money to teacher salaries. Teachers are repaying themselves $740,000. We currently get paid that $740,000 in our current contracts. Me specifically, my TSS is going down $1,256 and then being reallocated back and called a raise. The district is covering 41% of the raise. Teachers are covering 59% of that raise. I have always said in interviews, I've been interviewed by people in the news, I've been interviewed by students on colleges that come back and have to talk to teachers, I've been interviewed by the Echoes. I have always said that Council Bluffs feels like a small town and a family orientation, but after what's happened with this reallocation of TSS funds, it now feels like a business, and it feels like an employer-employee relationship, and I don't know how long it's going to take to get that back. I've been here for 29 years. A member of my family has been teaching in the Council Bluffs schools for 60 years. You may remember my Uncle Don. He's the first graduate of TJ High School to come back and teach at TJ High School. My grandmother started teaching here before World War II. So I am from Council Bluffs. I love Council Bluffs. And like I said, I'm just so disappointed in how this has turned out. And I hope that as we move forward, this won't happen again, because TSS money is going to run out too. You can't go back to the TSS fund every single year to cover the raises that the district needs to find money. One last point, I noticed further on in the agenda, you are discussing and going to accept and approve a 3% raise for admin salaries. There's no TSS for admin, so I'm assuming, don't know, but all that 3% is coming straight from district funds. If we can find 3% for the admin, why can't we find 3% for the teachers? If 1.25% of new district funds is okay for the teachers, then why isn't 1.25% okay for the admin? Thank you very much. I just want to say that this has been very hurtful to someone who's been here forever. And I think that you need to consider what's happening to the relationships between teachers and not my building administrators, it's the administrators down here at ESC. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Preston Borthman? Name, address, and you also have 5 minutes.
Okay. So I'm Preston Worthman. I live at 903 Franklin Avenue. I teach 8th grade at Wilson Middle School, and I was the chief negotiator for the union this year. At the last board meeting, I came to thank the district for their role in coming to an agreement with the union and hoping the board would pass that agreement. Since then, there's been new information that has been shared specifically on how the district was going to pay for that 3% increase to base salary spending. Salary and contract information was shared with certified staff on April 16th. Many noticed that next year's salary increase would be less than expected. I had reached out to Julie Foster asking for a meeting to get an explanation and was first told that more information was coming. Later that day, a letter was sent to Sarah Dressel of ISEA, who was also on our negotiations team, and myself detailing how TSS was being distributed. This letter led to a meeting yesterday with the negotiations team and Julie to help explain. What we found out was that the district was using about $734,000 of TSS funds to pay for part of that base salary increase, which is around $1.2 million, or that 3%. This was not shared with the negotiations team until April 16th, about a week after that agreement was voted on by the board, and about 2 weeks after that agreement was signed between the district and the union. In our 4 in-person meetings from February 27th to April 1st, it was not disclosed to the negotiations team that that was part of how that $1.2 million or 3% increase was going to be covered. In my written communication with Julie, I had reached out twice to ask about TSS. The first was on March 19th, asking about how TSS had been distributed for the current year. Part of Julie's response was neither TSS nor TLC are part of negotiations, as we only negotiate the base salary rates. I reached out again on April 4th while the union was ratifying the agreement, asking for a salary schedule with TSS so that could be shared. And part of that response was, we don't send out the schedule with TSS. We post it all on the website once the contract is ratified by the union and approved by the board, because TSS funds are not part of negotiations. I don't understand how we were supposed to come to an agreement by both parties if not all information was disclosed. I feel very frustrated by the change in this practice, and using TSS funds to help cover the base salary increase has not been done in Council Bluffs before, was not disclosed until April 16th. I think a lot of the frustration that staff feel could have been avoided if the district had chosen to be transparent with the negotiations team, and I hope that the district changes that practice for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Preston. Next, I have Jolene Miller.
Hi, my name is Jolene Miller. I live at 1523 Chestnut Drive here in Council Bluffs. I have been a teacher with the district for 34 years and am a graduate of the district. It's been my honor this year to serve as president of CBEA. When I started my time as president, my biggest goal was to build a positive relationship between the union and the administration so we could all work together to best educate our students. Recently, teachers agreed to a contract believing that they would get a 3% increase next year, only later to find out that the majority of that increase would come by cutting their monthly TSS payments, thus making their increase far lower. The teachers of this district trusted all of you to be transparent in negotiations, and this is not what happened. Let me tell you about what I've learned as president collecting data from my members about our teachers. The average teacher in Council Bluffs is currently working 50+ hours a week. The majority of teachers already have a second job to be able to pay their bills. Members are reaching out to me saying, with this small of an increase and the increase in insurance premiums, they are going to have to, with the cost of living going up, get a second job. So you have people in the classroom, their job is tough, and they're working 2 jobs over 80 hours a week. If we want our teachers to be the best in the classroom, we can't expect them to do this. And then they're contacting me and saying, how come all the other employee groups are getting a 3% increase? Why are we not important? The message that is being sent to teachers in Council Bluffs is teachers are the least important group of employees. And I would argue to you that we are, in fact, the most important group of employees. Thank you.
Thank you, Jolene. That is the last of those who put in an early request. Any other member of the public that wishes to speak tonight? Seeing as there is none, that ends our public participation for this evening, and we'll move into the superintendent's report, which we already did. That brings us to tonight's resolutions. First on our resolutions is the first reading of policies. Is there a motion?
I move that the board approves the first readings of policies as presented, and those are 403, employee conflict of interest, 405, harassment in the workplace, 406, abuse of students by district employees, 414, military service of employees, 415, licensed personnel, 417, reference checks, 423, selection process for classified employees, 428, pay deductions for partial day absences, 431, notification of arrest, criminal charges, or abuse complaints, 509, search and seizure, 517, student medication administration, 518, student-operated devices and vehicles, 714, bond disclosure.
Thank you.
I will second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion regarding the listed policies?
I would like to discuss the policy of 518, the student-operated devices and vehicles. It has been brought up that we are removing the parking permits from all the students. And so there will be no way to figure out who is in our parking lot and who is supposed to be there. And it concerns me as far as the safety of our students and our teachers.
Thanks, Ms. Hardiman. Dr. Murillo, there are SROs at each of our schools, correct?
That is correct.
And they can run license plates, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So we do have a way to find out who's in our parking lots, because we have paid police officers at our school.
So,
I'm not trying to argue, I was
No,
just stating a fact. Does that remediate your question or your?
No.
No?
so may I?
Yeah, please.
And then Ms. Ostrowski, you're in the policy committee, and I believe a couple of other, Dr. Zello. I get, Ms. Hardiman, what you're thinking around having the parking permits. What we have heard from our schools is that it is a layer or a step without having someone assigned to walk the parking lot and ensure that every car that is in that parking lot has that sticker. And they believe, because they do have the SRO, that they do have the means that if something would happen to a car, or if a car would be left there and kind of abandoned, that they would have the means to look up the license plates and know whose car that is. So it is a request of our high schools to not issue those parking permits and to move away from that. And Dr. Ozello or Ms. Ostrowski, if you have something to add from the committee meeting.
I know it was a hotly discussed topic. The understanding for the elimination was because of the workload it placed on the school staff, involving tracking and all of that, that wasn't necessarily being able to occur in the parking lot, like you said, by staff.
It was my observation that the committee members during discussion acknowledged the safety aspect, but also acknowledged the extra effort it took for parents to bring in the insurance and also pay for the $5 permit. But they did not think that that the safety was compromised completely with the elimination of this permit. That was and we do have other parents on that committee who provided some valuable input for us on that and expressed interest in, why we even had them in the first place. So I think it's just been a longstanding tradition, and the committee was in favor as a whole of moving away from that practice.
Can you help me understand your concern just a little more? Because originally what I heard was we don't know who's in the parking lot, and we definitely can always know who's in the parking lot because we can run all the license plates. So I guess what was
If we wanted to run them all the time, yes, you could do that. But if you could just look out and see that there are permits in a vehicle, then you wouldn't have to do the looking up or calling of the DMV. But I know that there's a website that the law officer can go onto and look up a vehicle. Should it be hit? Should it get a flat tire? If somebody is in our school who isn't supposed to be in our school, their car would be sitting there. They would be easier to track if we knew that that was a car that wasn't supposed to be there. I understand where the rest of the committee came from too, because I'm on it also. But it always made me feel better when I put 4 kids through the school to know that I paid for their insurance, made sure we were insured, I made sure they had their ticket, their little permit, and they had a license to drive, which is not going to be part of it, and you pay for the permit, and that does offset the tracking costs.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Also, just a kind of additional clarification, in the event that we have to, try and track down, a car that we're not sure. We are both at Thomas Jefferson and Abraham Lincoln, the entire parking lot is surveilled, like there are surveillance cameras, so we'd be able to go back and track if it was a student, if possibly a license plate lookup didn't quite match with what we were understanding. Okay. And if there's current setup, if there is a student who doesn't have a permit and is parking there regularly, do we ticket them, or we don't do anything like that?
And tow them away.
Yeah.
That was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Is there a concern with insurance? Is that part of the requirement that used to be for getting a parking permit, that you had to have a valid insurance? Is that an issue currently, that we may have numerous kids driving either without a license or without valid insurance? And what if they hit somebody in the parking lot?
The current
Shouldn't be there, right? Like,
the current policy does require the student or their parent to provide a driver's license and proof of insurance. However, the committee, I recall, questioned why it is the school district's business whether or not they have insurance.
And registration was the other thing we always had to provide. This is the first year I've not provided.
Any other questions or comments from the board regarding this particular topic of policies? No? Okay. Any other discussion regarding any of the rest of the policies? No? Okay, we have a motion and a second. We've had discussion, so Mrs. Straussky, if you would please call our roll.
Yes. Mr. Kozier?
Yes.
Ms. Hardiman?
No.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
The first reading of those policies has been approved. Next, we have second reading of policies, which is a different set of policies. Is there a motion?
I move that the board approve second reading of these, yeah, it does, so it threw me, of these policies on, okay. Consider the final approval of the policies as presented. In the second reading, one corresponding regulation is included for for the one and only reading, and upon approval, these policies will be updated, posted on the policies page of our district website, and communicated to those responsible for administering the policy. The following policies are presented to the board for second reading: 607, provision of special education; 607.1, provision of special education regulation; 629, family night and Sunday activities; 631, providing textbooks to non-public schools; 637, animals in district facilities or the classroom; 638, assistance animals; 804, facilities maintenance.
Thank you. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Kozire. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion regarding that list of policies?
I have discussion on policy 629, that we are taking away the non-testing on Thursdays when a family night is on Wednesday nights, so we can still allow the teachers to have tests on Thursdays, which I had always used that Thursday non-test day as an ability to take my child to an appointment and they wouldn't miss anything, or the ability to use Wednesday night as a true family night.
No, we don't need to, because again, it doesn't fall.
Thank you for that. Is there any other discussion regarding these policies?
I just want to reiterate, we had talked about this the first time, that I understand where Ms. Hardeman is coming from. I personally, I think because of some of the restrictions that we kind of already have to put in place as far as testing, a lot of the times our teachers won't have tests on Mondays because they're shortened days. A lot of times they won't be on Fridays because it's towards the end of the week. And so I understand that concern, but I felt like that this is already adding additional restriction and makes it harder to schedule those sorts of tests. So I disagree because of that. Or rather, disagree with Ms. Hardeman's sentiment. There we go. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Peters. Anything further from the board? No. Seeing as there is none, Mrs. Strowski, please call the roll.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
No.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
Dr. Ozello?
Yes.
And the motion carries. That brings us to our district career and academic plan. Is there a motion?
I move that the Board of Education approves the district's career and academic plan as presented.
Thank you.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion regarding the academic plan?
I did have a question, just kind of a wondering. On page, I'm going to have to scroll through it. There was a section that was left blank for representatives of special populations, representatives of regional or local agencies serving out-of-school youth, homeless children, and at-risk youth. And I was wondering if that is maybe a plan that we're going to tackle in the future.
So that is part of the discussions that we have with the members, but we do not have to have members in every different category.
Yes, there was a detailed presentation by Ms. Kathy Schmedding at our last meeting. So we have been brought up to speed on everything that's going on. If you do wish to have any viewing of that, it is on our YouTube channel from last meeting. Thank you, Ms. Comine. Anything further from the board? Mrs. Strowski, please call our roll.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Dr. Ozello?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
And the resolution passes. Next, we have approval of the 2023-2024 audit report. Is there a motion?
I move that we accept the June 30th, 2024 audit report from Edie Bailey LLC as presented.
I'll second.
Do we have a motion and a second? Any discussion regarding our report from Ide Bailey?
I just kind of want to point out to the public that we did have our work session right before this meeting about the audit report, and it was a really good meeting.
Thank you, Mrs. Greiner. Anything else? Anything else? Mrs. Strauski, please call our roll.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes?
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
And the motion carries. Next, we have approval of the 2025-2026 certified budget. Is there a motion?
I move that the board approve the Council Bluffs Community School District 2025-2026 certified budget.
Thank you.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion regarding the certified budget? Seeing as there is none, Mrs. Strauski, please call our roll.
Yes. Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
And the motion carries. Next, we have standard employee 25-26 wage increase. Is there a motion?
I move that the board approves a 3% increase in wages for the standard employee group for the 25-26 school year.
Thank you.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion regarding this resolution?
I would like to point out that our administrators do not have the ability of a longevity TSS money to add to their raise. So that is why they have the full 3%.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I've been processing, and I've done a lot of communicating with teachers today. Bob and I have had several emails, and me trying to work through this process. I am concerned that the teachers are only seeing a 1.25 or a 1.5 on top. I don't think, I do know that we are at the cliff of financially with the loss of ESSER dollars and the ARP dollars, that our solvency rate must remain at a certain percent. The state expects it, the legislators expect it, and with the loss of those additional dollars and with the unfunded mandate by our governor to increase everyone to a certain threshold, to continue to add the raises to that, we cannot sustain that out of our operating budget. And many districts, as I reached out and talked to how they use their TSS dollars, they are using them for the base salary. We have never had to do that in Council Bluffs. And calculating and looking at how do we have a 3%, what we've done in the past is that we have eliminated positions to be able to fund that raise. Last year alone, we took out 18 positions out of middle school. That allowed us to continue that, knowing that in 2024, the legislature passed that we can take TSS dollars to help with the base salary. Council Bluffs has never been in a position to do that, never. And when this year, we are looking at a 4258, I believe, Bob, is kind of how you set that up. As we looked at the 4258, we also have to realize that last year TSS was setting at 6.2 million. This year it went up to 6.4 million and some change, but it still has not been approved. It can go down, it can go up. Right now, the legislators are still sitting on that because they're going to add additional language because they know that they up the salaries beyond what most districts can afford to continue to put raises on, and how will we sustain that, especially in our rural districts? They don't have the means to continue to do that. We won't either with the declining enrollment and where we have dropped to. So it bothers me to think that some of the teachers who I agree work really, all of our teachers work very, very hard, and they do a tremendous job so the next phase of this is either we reduce staff and increase class sizes, or we have to continue to look at what TSS is setting there. Because what that happens is we have also allowed our TSS to be put in a scale. So some teachers get maybe 7,000 extra dollars and some get 4,000 extra dollars, and it's in a scale where most districts just divide it up evenly, and that's how it's rolled out. And so as the 1.2 million, if you add the FICA, as we talked about, Bob, it's really almost 1.5 million that a 3% raise would cost our district. As we looked at that, then you begin to see it's not a clear raise because we have a step and they're stagnant. And then what's left over after the step takes place is where the raise is. The other thing that really hurt us this year is that the negotiators decided to pull out another 350 and add it 1,000 and add it to the longevity side of the track. So I'm sitting here still trying to figure out where in the world can I find these dollars without reducing positions. But I see the 3% and I see how hard my teachers work, and I understand that if we do use the TSS, it does reduce from what they're used to seeing last year. But the other side of that coin that bothers me is those teachers that got the extra 350 for the longevity, less than 150, they go up. But the other teachers did not. So I struggle internally with this 3%. And I don't know if the board would be open to us going into an exempt session, looking at our budget, or do you prefer, because this is your decision, to stick and stay and approve the 2 contracts and then let us go back to see what we can do for teachers. But what I know is what's been ratified. And what I also know is I still don't know what my TSS budget is. We still don't know. We have some estimates that's gone out, and they change weekly as they continue to put them out. So at one time we were at 6.55, then it dropped down to 6.33. When we finished with the contracts negotiation, it hit at 6.44. So it's bouncing, and it's the language where they're going to tell us now, you may use it to do this, because the heavy lift is how do we continue to put a raise on top of where we've been lifted to. And so I do struggle with this, but I don't have an answer. All I know I can tell you is I will go back and look at it and see what I can do to try to get it right side up, because it's not fair. I wish teachers, it was just a 3% raise like our standard and our administrators. So every year you just calculate, it's 3%. There it is. You don't worry about the step that took 700 and something thousand. You don't worry then what took out for longevity. That 3% goes for there, and then we look at the other. That would be clean and simple. And Lynn has tried to figure out, and that's the reason she created what we called a TSS, what was it called? Plus. Because we found we had some teachers under this formula that would not have seen a raise. So we pulled 88,000, but it's not only just 88,000, you have to pull the FICA and IPERS, because the district can't carry that load either. So you pull that 88, and you made sure that every teacher saw at least a 1.5. Now there are teachers that got over 4% raise because of where they landed in the scale and the step, the longevity, and then the TSS. So there's a range of teachers, and I think they would be offended if I dropped the 4.5% to get them down here. It's a moving, the scale being stagnant is moving. But Lynn has laid out for me exactly the number of teachers that got what raise. She could pull that for us. And that's the piece. Last year, because we finished earlier, we had more time. Bob, Robbie, you had more time working on negotiations and getting the scales set up right. This year we ended later, and we took the scale that they used last year, or the matrix, and then we went to work on how that looked. So you can see, sitting here, how much conversation I've had inside my head during tonight and trying to figure out what is the right thing to do as we move forward. Because I don't want our teachers not to feel appreciated, and we've fought years. When I first got here, all we were given were 1 or 1.5% because we didn't have the dollars. And then COVID came, and we were able to go up to 2.5, and then a 3% raise. So I say all that to say, board, for some guidance and discussion on what are next steps and what you feel good, because we can go into an exempt session after this. We can table this, but I would ask if we did something like that to have a special meeting, because our clock starts when the contracts go out. And what we don't want to do is our administrators and standards not to feel like we're going to give them a contract for the next year. We want them to know, we want them to stay. And we've been holding on anything with the administrators or standard because teachers needed to come first.
I feel very conflicted as well. The last thing that I would want to do is to vote to approve this after getting all of the participation to get all of those remarks that what Bob had mentioned, that he feels that trust is no longer there, what the chief negotiator, Preston, what he had mentioned as far as that I would not feel comfortable voting to approve that right at this exact moment. I do agree that I think we should probably have an exempt session. I am only one voice to the board, like the entire board, should speak. It's been very frustrating the past few years watching in legislative sessions. There's always a ping pong back and forth whether there's going to be a 2% raise or 2.5%. Meanwhile, more and more districts are losing enrollment, including us, which puts us at not getting a 2% or 2.5% raise to be able to, in our funding, in our operating budget, to offer that raise, but it puts us at a 1%. And it makes it harder and harder every single year when things like that happens. I firmly believe that's probably our biggest, one of our biggest problems is enrollment. It's a big issue. And the only movement that we seem to see on the legislative side is with TSS dollars. And I feel like this is going to be, unfortunately, the sort of thing that's going to have to be a recurring problem with other districts as well, not just us, that they're going to have to try and offer some sort of, a raise, to meet, especially when inflation is happening and we could possibly be in a recession that we all know about. And we're not seeing any sort of budge in any sort of funding in our operational budget, and the only dollars that are coming are TSS. It's very, very frustrating. But that's my own opinion. If the rest of the board, feels otherwise, I understand, but that's my own opinion.
No, I agree that we need to go into an exempt meeting. It makes perfect sense. It is very difficult, and I'm scared that the legislature is going to put some sort of language on that TSS dollars that throws the entire contract out. Because they could tell us, because of the minimum wage of the teachers that they're requiring, that they have standards that they're going to want set.
Just to let you all know, Iowa Code regarding exempt session, Iowa Code 497-8.3, parent 21, comma 22, exempt sessions. 8.3 Iowa Code, Section 21.9, exempt session, is a meeting to discuss strategy concerning employment conditions of employees of a governmental body who are not covered by a collective bargaining agreement under Iowa Code, Chapter 20. 8.3 Parent 2, employment condition include wages, hours, vacation, insurance, holiday, leave of absence, shift differentials, overtime compensation, supplemental pay, seniority, transfer procedures, job classifications, health and safety matters, evaluation procedures, procedures for staff reduction, in-service training, and grievance procedures. This is where where we're looking at, I'll read 8.3, Parent 3, an exempt session does not fall under the requirements of Iowa Code, Chapter 1. Therefore, notice, a tentative agenda, minutes, or other requirements of Iowa Code, Chapter 21 do not apply. So again, exempt sessions do not require the 24-hour notice. We don't have to post that. We don't have to post the agenda. We are not required, as in Iowa Code Chapter 21, to make those notices to the public. Reading farther, the last parent, just to go through the whole exempt session clause. The purpose of an exempt session is to allow a governmental body to formulate its position of the terms and conditions of employment for non-union employees in private. An exemption from the open meetings law for this purpose parallels the exemption provided by Iowa Code Chapter 20 for governmental bodies negotiating with employee unions. Meetings to evaluate the professional competency of an individual whose appointment, hiring, performance, or discharge is being considered are subject to the requirements of Iowa Code Chapter 21.5, Parent 1, Parent I. The rule is intended to implement Iowa Code 21.9. So by going into an exempt session, we can discuss those items.
Great, thank you. So if I could, I would ask the board to give consideration to pulling this board item and the next one.
Agreed.
I would make a motion to table the current motion. And one of two ways could occur for the administrator contract is that if no motion is tendered, or second, if the motion has, if a second is not tendered, then the motion does not get brought before. So if we table it, we would have to make a motion then to approve the contract, get a second, and then also then table that motion as well.
Yeah, this one's been motioned, yeah, so we have to table this.
So I have a motion, I will bring a motion to the board to table item F, which is standard employee 25-26 wage increase. Tabling is not debatable. We just need a second and then go directly to the vote.
I will second.
Are you motioning just for F or F and G both?
Well, we have a motion right now, which is F, so we need to dispense with that separately.
All right, we have a motion to table item F and a second. All in favor?
We do have to have a roll call.
Roll call.
Okay.
Thank you, Dave, for your excellent expertise in Robert's
Robert's rules.
Mrs. Straussky, please call our roll.
Okay. We have Mrs. Greiner,
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman,
Yes.
Ms. Myers,
Yes.
Mr. Peters,
Yes.
Mr. Tripp,
Yes.
Dr. Rosello,
Yes.
Mr. Kozire.
Yes.
And the motion carries. Item F has been tabled. Next, we have item G, the issuance of 2025-2026 administrator contracts.
I move that the board approve the administrative contract as presented for the 25-26 school year.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion regarding issuance of administrator contracts?
So we table it here?
Yep.
Okay, I move that the board tables Resolution G, the issuance of the 25-26 administrator contracts.
Thank you. Is there
Second.
a motion and a second to table item G as well? Mrs. Straussky, please call our roll.
Yes. Ms. Hardeman,
Yes.
Ms. Myers,
Yes.
Dr. Rosello,
Yes.
Mr. Peters,
Yes.
Mr. Tripp,
Yes.
Mr. Kozire,
Yes.
Mrs. Greiner.
Yes.
The motion carries. Item G has also been tabled. Next up, we have approval of instructional materials for 6 through 12 English language development. Is there a motion?
I move that the board approves the purchase and use of National Geographic Cengage Learning Resources for 6th through 12th grade English language development.
Thank you.
Second?
A motion and a second. Any discussion regarding the instructional materials?
And this was something that was already budgeted. Should we maybe go through very quickly, just that this was part of our schedule?
Curriculum cycle. And so this is just, it's time for, and Tracy had reviewers of the resources and good feedback, and this is what is moving forward.
Thank you, Dr. Merlo. Anything further from the board? Mrs. Strowski, please call our roll.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
And the motion carries. Next, we have setting of the public hearing on possible sale of a vacant lot. Is there a motion?
I move that the Board of Education direct the school board secretary to schedule a public hearing on May 13th, 2025 at 6:30 PM to obtain public input regarding the possible sale of vacant lot located near the warehouse.
Thank you, Mr. Kozire.
Second?
A motion and a second. Any discussion regarding setting of the public hearing? Seems there is none. Mrs. Strowski, please call our roll.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
The motion carries. Next, we have a resolution for the approval for the following new job description, which is an elementary school Spanish/K through 12 world language learner facilitator. Is there a motion?
I move that the Board of Directors approve the new job description for the elementary school Spanish/K-12 world language learning facilitator as presented.
Thank you.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion from our board regarding this new job description?
I think it is important for the public to know that this position does not add FTEs to our district. It actually reduces a 0.5 of an FTE through combining of the roles, hence the new job description.
Yes, one of the many strategies that we have implemented in order to keep our budget in line.
Off the cliff.
Any other discussion from the board? There is none. Mrs. Strowski, please call our roll.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
And the motion carries. There is now a new job description available. Next, we have approval for another new job description, Keensville transition teacher. Is there a motion?
I move that the board approve the new job description for the Canesville transition teacher.
Thank you.
Second?
A motion and a second. Any discussion regarding this new job description?
Again, just like the last resolution, this does combine two positions into one FTE. The transition position and ARC position.
It actually reduces a full FTE. Any further discussion? Mrs. Strowski, please call our roll.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
And the motion carries. Next, we have approval of bid for Wilson PA Bell System. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the bid with Electronics Sound Incorporated for Wilson Middle School PA Bell replacement in the amount of $58,800.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion regarding the replacement of the PA Bell system?
Yeah, I think it's interesting to share with the public. I'm just curious about dates and everything because I asked that about the WIC board, I think when it got replaced, but the current system is broken, but it's from the late 1970s, so
Going strong.
it has lasted its time for sure with us. And it says we're actually using the telecenter new system at Bloomer, so definitely needed to get one for Wilson.
Hopefully it has a retro setting, so it has the same bell sound.
Should also be noted, this is budgeted out of save, so this doesn't have anything to do with the operating budget or anything, this change.
Thank you, Mr. Peters, for pointing that out.
I did just have a question that the site will have a $1,500 year annual subscription to District Cloud. Is that a subscription per site, or is that a subscription for the whole district, and is that in perpetuity?
Yes, that is a subscription per site, and what that allows us to do to continually upgrade those bells through that cloud system.
So we're going to have this site, how many sites are we going to have that will have this bell
So
system?
the overall subscription, I said that wrong, so the overall subscription would be for the entire district.
Okay.
Not per school.
Scared us, John.
Right.
We're all jumping in.
Sorry about
Thank you, John.
So that's $1,500 a year for a subscription for upgrades. Okay. Anything further from the board regarding the PA system? PA bell system, apologies. Mrs. Straussky, please call our roll.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
And the bid has been approved. Congratulations, Wilson. Music to your ears, coming soon.
Here's a better one.
Yes.
It's a better one.
Next up, we have a resolution for the TJ High School auditorium seats. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the bid with H21 Group for Thomas Jefferson High School auditorium seating in the amount of $110,140.70.
Thank you, Ms. Hardeman.
Second.
And a second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion regarding the auditorium seating bid?
I'm just curious, and I probably don't remember, it's probably been told to me already. Is this going to be the same number of seats, increase seats, decrease? Same, okay.
This was part
And
of,
these seats are older than I am.
and this was part of the original bid for the complete renovation. This is just a
Yeah.
piecemeal chunk of
Yep.
it, one at a time.
And it does come out of the safe budget.
Right.
Yes.
Correct. Anything further from the board?
I do like the amount of ADA compliant seats too. There's quite a few, so.
Excellent. Mrs. Straussky, please call our roll.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Keller. We appreciate your enthusiasm.
Come in.
Next up, we have concrete repair for AL High School. I know this is their favorite, concrete repair. TJ High School and Franklin Elementary. Is there a motion?
I move that the board approves the repair of ALHS curbs and the repair of the Wilson back lane in the amounts of $6,127 and $156,845 to shared construction and the repair of Franklin sidewalk, bus lane, and other areas in the amount of $47,525 to Fisher Building Services.
I will second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion regarding our favorite topic?
I was going to say, the excitement of the concrete.
Concrete repair and replacement. One question, I know oh, go ahead,
Yeah,
please.
I do have a question. So I know with our concrete repairs, sometimes we discuss like it's been failure of the material that has been used. But given that it's in certain areas that are high traffic, I would assume it's just like wear and tear over time that has occurred.
I am curious if we are adding the ceiling that we had done to some previous concrete repairs. Are we putting that on as well to assist with the cracks and gaps, the cut lines to ensure that the sealant is on there? Because that seems to have drastically improved the longevity of our concrete.
Yes, we are adding a sealant to these, and the reason, or what we have seen so far, the Early Learning Center has been that test bed, and currently, that concrete is holding up much better than anything else we've put down. Granted, it's about 2.5 years down, but we see cracks in concrete less than a year old without doing the sealant.
Thank you, Mr. Stout. Anything further from the board regarding concrete repair?
Just another note that this is also coming out of SAVE. Kind of feel like tonight it's important to mention where these are being budgeted. It's coming out of SAVE, doesn't have to do with operating budget.
Mrs. Strowski, please call our roll.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Dr. Ozello?
Yes.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
The motion carries. Next on the list, we have the 2025-26 Annual Technology Purchase Bid, 25-003. Is there a motion?
I move that the board moves to award bid 25-003 to CDW-G for the 2025-26 Google Chrome OS Management Console license and student Chromebooks, eSports devices, and Sterling Computers Corporation for the eSports monitors as presented.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion regarding the technology purchase?
I did forget to mention the dollar amount. I apologize. The dollar amount is $672,692.32, and this is coming out of the Pebble/Tech Fund.
Thank you. Anything else from the board?
I think just highlighting some of the public content is, our technology department does a great job of assessing our needs each year, and this is just to fill that need. It's not just something.
Willy-nilly.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right, Ms. Myers. This is a kind of an annual where we turn over in the transition years, and we've cut this down as close as we can to the need. And so that is just a piece that we continue to work on, and we were very concerned about the bids because of everything going on. I don't want to say politically, but maybe, financially in our nation. I'm not sure with the tariffs and everything, we were very concerned. So we're pleased with where we are.
And the esports monitors and devices, that's for both TJ and AL?
No, what we're doing now, there's such a interest by our students for esports that we did need to upgrade some of our equipment at TJ and AL, and then we are repurposing that equipment and putting it at Crescent, the Innovation Center, Sports and Innovation Center, and our middle school students will now be able to form teams and compete.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you again to the Cannons.
I was going to say, the
Appreciate
Cannons are
your
coming in, huh?
enthusiasm.
We're here for you.
Anything else from the board? Mrs. Strowski, please call our roll.
Dr. Ozello?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
The motion carries. Yay. Next, we have Thomas Jefferson High School PA and Bell System.
I move that the board approves the purchase of the Rollin Telecenter U intercom system from Electronic Sound for $84,900 for Thomas Jefferson High School.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion from the board?
Just want to note, this also comes from SAVE, but it does not outdate Wilson's. Nope, this is only the 80s.
This is from the 80s. So.
And may I also say that it is blowing amps, and it's really getting hard to replace that. So we're kind of borrowing from different places to try to keep that up going. So John's very concerned, and for the safety of our staff and students, we do need to have communication in case we'd have any emergencies.
Yes.
I presume all of our buildings are going to this system or are on it already? This is an ongoing, okay.
How many do we have left to transition, do we know?
I think John was looking to do 4 buildings, and we could only really have the funding for 2.
That's
So we're starting with 2, and then each year we'll continue
Continue to 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything further from the board? Mrs. Straussky, please call our roll.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
The motion carries. Wilson and TJ will have new sounds to enjoy. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Candace. Last on our resolution list tonight is professional services for the TJ High School ERV2 and RU Gym HVAC unit replacement. Is there a motion?
I move that the board approves the contract with Engineering Technologies Incorporated, Architects Professional Services for the Thomas Jefferson High School ERV and the rear gymnasium HVAC unit replacement for $48,000.
Thank you.
I will second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion regarding the ERV and HVAC units?
Just kind of a note for the public, we did have a hearing on this last meeting. It was very informational as far as finding out some of the issues with getting some of the coolant for the previous system, and that at this point it's they're well past their operating age, I believe. And so this is something that is sorely needed. It's also coming out of the SAVE fund, so the operational budget's not being touched. And it's very important this gets done.
Thank you, Mr. Peters. Anything further from the board? Mrs. Straussky, please call our roll.
Yes. Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
And Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
And the motion carries. And that brings us to our consent agenda. Tonight's consent agenda includes school-based interventionist agreement, annual notification of teacher students, practicum students, and field experience observation students, approval of STEM AI consultant contract, special education contract with Heartland AEA, 24-25 special education consortium agreement, special education contracts with Clayton Ridge and Alpha School, our personnel agenda, and our finances for March 2025, as well as disbursements for March 2025. Is there a motion?
I move that the board approves the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion regarding the consent agenda items?
I do want to note on consent agenda C, the approval of STEM AI consultant and contract, that was budgeted from an anonymous donor. So thank you.
Yes, thank you, anonymous donor. We do appreciate it. Anything further?
I just wanted to make a comment about every time we have our agreements that come up with our student teachers and field observers, that just makes me really excited for all the work that our teachers are doing in our district for those practicum students and the future educators that we had, and we have great colleges and universities that we're partnering with. So it's just amazing to see every time it comes up.
I have a question on the Heartland AEA contract. I was not able to see what the fees were defined as. It says fees as defined, and there was no definition. Can you explain that?
Dr. Matthews, can you explain where we are with that? Dr. Matthews kind of oversaw that contract because it is predominantly for special, kind of our special education is where the heavy lift is. We are not using them for the ed media, and some of the fees of the contract, we did not go into a contract with them for van drivers. So.
This is Heartland AEA
oh,
for
this
students
is
who are
Heartland.
placed. And so, can you tell me where what you're looking to clarify? I apologize.
In the agreement, there's an item that says the fees as defined, but there is no actual definition. Let me see if I can, so page 2, that third paragraph. AE agrees the invoice for the fees. It says fees multiple times. There is no actual definition of what the fees will be.
Oh.
That second line there says district shall pay to AEA the fees as hereinafter defined, and then there is no defined fees. I didn't know if there was an amendment or an exhibit that should have gone with this that has the fees broken out.
I do not know the answer to that. I apologize. Maybe.
And what I've seen is that the fees differ. There are due to the severity of the IEP or the conditions. So it may be that we have to see what the charges would be for that particular student, because it is a singleton, it's one by one.
It is. It's one student state placed in this. So I.
Okay, so this is more of an agreement that they will
Yes.
accept a student. Once a student is accepted, then they will have another agreement for that particular student defining the fees that they will charge.
Yes.
And that's usually what we run through and you see the fee.
That makes sense. All
Black out the student name for privacy, but it's more detailed.
right, thank you. Well, hold on just a second, because you might need to stay. I have a second question on the Clayton Ridge. It looks like there's maybe multiple pages to that, and it is cut off on page 1. It says payment for June will be, and then there's nothing further. Maybe that's a two-sided page that didn't get copied correctly. I'm just curious what the rest of that.
Yes, we will get that second page.
Okay. Is that also once this child is accepted, the fee will be decided at that time, so there won't be a fee defined?
This is for a specific individual student. Their information has been redacted, so that's what that second page will detail.
Right. Iowa Virtual Academy.
So we can't approve that because there's no amount to approve. There's no amount to approve, so we can't approve it. Well, the first one, there isn't amount. It's not defined until there's a student. The second one, though, there isn't a page describing the fee, so we won't be able to approve that
But
tonight.
also, again, it's for an IEP student, so that determination, I would guess, is after the evaluation process has been completed.
And to make sure I'm understanding, you mentioned the second page, that since the student is already identified, adding that second page, it's redacted, correct? Because
No, just their information.
No, just the information on
just
that
the
first
information,
page is-
okay, so we could include the second page and it wouldn't include the student, okay, thank you.
Right there, choosing right here, student, birth, all that's redacted. It's
Yeah.
just the second page isn't on there.
Okay, cool.
So I'm just clarifying with the board, since there is not a fee described for us to approve, we would not be able to approve that at this meeting tonight. We'll have to motion to approve the consent agenda with amendment to remove this particular item.
Table, you would table that.
Correct.
Right. Table
Question is,
item
this
F.
means a student doesn't attend school until it's approved, correct?
Typically, the IEP team places, and they do, and then we backlog the date, and that has been the practice.
Okay, so
Because
so the student is not held out.
Yes, correct. Because legally, we can't once an IEP team makes a recommendation for that placement.
And it also says that the payment, it's based on an estimated cost. So to me, again, these are contracts we go into, but until we know what services are provided, there is never going to be a cost listed. These are.
Vary by student
vary.
based on their services.
That's correct.
So even though this is for an individual that's been identified already, we still won't have the fee until. say,
After they
end of
get
their
in.
year or
Yeah.
whatever.
And those fees may change throughout the year based on what the IEP team, in their evaluation process, determines whether that student will require additional services, so.
Because it looks like we pay
So-
them twice a year,
Yeah,
semi-annual.
So, I mean, we're approving the contract.
We need to
And-
approve it open-ended,
Right.
so that we don't have to come back and approve every time they
Right.
update the price.
Yeah, but they do them individually.
Right.
Right.
So it's an estimated cost, and what we usually do is you approve for the child to attend there,
Right.
and then, for the most part, it's an estimated open-ended.
And, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then, Dr. Matthews, you'll make sure that Lori gets all of that. If there isn't the cost awarded at the time that we're putting in, it needs to be noted,
Yes.
okay? that there is, that the cost, it's now estimated until we get them in and see what courses they would and what additional services they need.
Yes, we will
Okay.
make note of that.
Okay. So we may know.
I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Mrs. Strasky, please call our roll.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Kozier?
Yes.
And Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
And our consent agenda passes. Do we need a motion?
Dave, would we
Need
close
a-
out the meeting and do a motion to go into exempt?
Again, open meetings law does not require us to notify, so we just quit and move on.
Get to make that
It
noise?
is
or
8:20
just you?
and our meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Now we will go back into an exempt. Closed door. Yeah. Bob?